Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing Friday. Happy Friday to you and your family. It's been an interesting week in the trading world, but also just in general. A lot of cool short position options, and we're going to see essentially how much lower this can go. In truth, it can definitely go lower, but we might be at this turning point right now. And the bottom might be it. We're going to go ahead and look at that and much more, of course. So if you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, hope you can learn something here today. My goal is to help you become a better trader. If you want to do so, CryptoCache.tech is a site, link in the description below. And I do offer discounts for military and third world countries. Feel free to message me direct there as well. And if card isn't your option, we can accept crypto as well. Furthermore, another thing to note also is that I have Trading Academy, Community, and Signal Group. It's kind of all together in one. So you can learn to become a better trader. You can learn how I structure my trades to survive this market. And the keyword survival, not thrival, because honestly, in a bear market, it is mostly about limiting your loss, really, just kind of surviving a kind of the ebbs and flows. Obviously, it depends on the kind of trader that you are, but in general, you need to make sure that you understand that it's in your best interest to be cautious and careful in this current climate. And that's what we're doing here as a community as well. But even that being said, we're still taking some serious profits. We're just using smaller position sizing, and it makes things a little bit more convenient or comfortable if things don't go your way. All right. Anyway, that being said, let's take a look here at Bitcoin. Pretty straightforward. Well, actually, no, this is not straightforward, come to think of it. Yesterday was kind of an interesting one. So let's just go ahead and jump right into the 1 hour. As we can see, right as the candlestick was trying to close, like basically an hour before the monthly candlestick closed, we saw this significant ramp up, a tremendous amount of volume, and really just squeezed the heck out of a lot of shorts. But you think about this, we went up 10% in like an hour and a half. That was just complete manipulation. So that happened, of course, with a follow-through of selling off. Today being Friday, taking some profit. Why not? Obviously, a lot of whales decided to take advantage of that. But the bottom line here is that they were trying to close the monthly above 20,000, which essentially did succeed, or technically 19,800. It's pretty much right at that level. So what does that mean? Well, it really doesn't mean a tremendous amount. I mean, honestly, a closure above that level is helpful. That does kind of give us an idea that that's probably going to be a strong support. We've already known that. That's been a strong support level previously. And interestingly enough, it's the all-time high, previous all-time high back in 2017. So again, no surprise that we saw that happen. Does that mean the price is just going to shoot up from here? No, but it does imply that we're probably due for a green month. And another reason why I believe that is just because Bitcoin historically has three red months followed by 1 or 2 green months. Now they haven't been super strong some of those months, of course, just like this one here up to 48,000 and got rejected. But generally speaking, we could expect and should expect, based on the overall sense of the fact we've had 3 strong red months, that this month will very likely be a green month. Okay. Now, what that's going to look like, it's hard to say. It could even just be a doji candle, but we'll take that if that's the case. I do think we will spend a little bit more time in the current price range. So I don't expect the month to just start off with a bang, but I do think over the next few weeks we'll start to slowly see an increase. Again, it might slowly increase, and then at the end of the month, kind of just dump it all down to about 14,000. That's a possibility. We got to be prepared for that. But between now and then, it does and is giving us all the signals that it still wants to come down or stay where it's at. But I think we are nearing the bottom. We're starting to feel that. But again, just when we saw the price increase yesterday, that was more so manipulation. That wasn't necessarily a case in point where they're like, oh, hey, the price is too low, we're going to go ahead and buy now. No, a lot of it was just buying super low, driving the price up, selling at the highest point, taking the profits that they took. So again, it's kind of the way that it works sometimes, but the fact that it was 1 hour before the monthly close, I don't know, it's more than a coincidence, right? That being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the weekly and see if there's anything really to note here. First of all, with the weekly, what we were looking at previously is the 200-day SMA. We're stuck underneath that. We are also under 30 still in the RSI. So again, not a great week so far, but on the same accord, it shouldn't get too much lower. We might still be seeing that double bottom come here in a little bit. In fact, we might have already seen the double bottom and perhaps we're due for an increase. But excuse me, the only thing we need to make sure we understand is that we're still in a downtrend here. We're moving concurrent with the 50-day SMA on the daily, which we can see right here, this nice orange line, kind of just telling us that, hey, we're still stuck under this trend. So whether or not we have a good month or a bad month, the bottom line is we still need to retest that level, break above and close above. That's the important thing, and we're not there yet, okay? In fact, where we're at right now, let's go ahead and just get rid of this so you can see it a little easier. Generally speaking, we are underneath the 20-day SMA as well. So you can see that that kind of got hit and rejected tentatively. The bottom line, though, is that we're still in a descending pattern in the immediate future. In other words, we could very well see what we're 6 days in to this trend. We could really see another 3 or 4 more days red. Now, is that probable? I think not, and here's the reason why. First of all, again, this candlestick hasn't closed yet. We want to wait to see what today holds first before we do anything. I would recommend waiting until after 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to see what the candlestick closure looks like before we decide to take entry. And the reason why is because yesterday we had a hammer. You know, it's basically a inverted hammer or hammer up. I forget the specific term. I apologize, but basically it's a hammer telling you that the direction will change. In other words, in this 24-hour period, the price came this low and closed back really, really close to its previous open. And that's really a sign of bullish momentum. Now, that was mostly based on that manipulation that we saw in the 1 hour, just that 1 hour time frame. So that essentially is telling us that, you know, that we're kind of conflicting the information, right? Because traditionally speaking, when you see a hammer like this, for example, the price should come up from here. It's going down, but today's a Friday. A lot of profits are taken from that immediate burst of value. The price went up by 10% in a short amount of time. So we got to kind of recognize that at this point, even though the candles are telling us that the price should go up from here, and that we're more likely to, we still have a lot of bearish divergence here. And the fact that we haven't closed above this descending trend is really telling us a lot in the sense that we haven't broken this immediate trend, and obviously we've got a larger time frame trend as well we need to break through too. So we're I'm not saying we're in terrible shape, but it's not like fantastic. I would speculate that we're probably going to see, I guess, what we should do is we should think about hypothetically if the candlestick were to close in certain areas, and that would tell us a lot. I think if we get a doji candle today, that'd be perfect. So a closure at about 19.8 or higher would be awesome. If we close below, it does feel like it wants to continue to stay low. I wouldn't necessarily say we're going to see a significantly red weekend, but you gotta understand that we are kind of hitting this double bottom. And we shouldn't go much lower, but if we do, we'll know soon because it's going to hit pretty hard if we were to see a massive sell-off here. I think that would probably take a fundamental catalyst, but generally speaking, that's where we're at. All right, so again, I know that seems kind of conflicting, and that's usually how trading works in a lot of cases. There's good, bad, and indifferent things that kind of happen. But for right now, I would still say be careful, be cautious, dollar cost average wherever possible, but try not to be the kind of person that just goes all in, because it's not really the best way to go. Okay, that being said, taking a look here at the RSI on the daily, we can see we're testing 30 once more. So hypothetically, that should work as a support level, right? Yeah, maybe. And I say maybe just based on the fact that we are, 5 days in, or you could just say this is a 6th red day so far to the downside, and we have potential of 3 or 4 more days before we could see that turnaround. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to have to hit a 9. It doesn't always have to come down all the way to a 9, even though it has done that fairly often. But in truth, this momentous push to the downside hasn't finished yet. And we need confirmation, which is a candlestick closure in the green and or at least at a doji to effectively give us that shift in momentum. I like doji candles because they kind of tell you that that trend is starting to dissolve. You can kind of see how doji candles work. Like here's a doji, for example. It came up, kind of got stopped out, and inevitably came back down. We saw one right here as well where the price came up, came down, back up. That was kind of an indecisive one, but generally speaking, they usually lead to a transition. That's usually what they boil down to. Okay, so we're hoping for a doji candle here today, but it's too early to tell. So why don't we take a look at smaller time frames, see if there's anything that this is telling us. And if we look at the 4 hour, we can kind of just see that we're underneath all moving averages, specifically the 20 and the 50. That's never great. Oftentimes when you're underneath the 20, at the very least on the 4 hour, you can see that it's kind of a resistance level. So at this point, That's holding the price action down. We're under 50 and over 30 in the RSI, which is kind of standard. That's nothing really to write home about. And the MACD is trying to converge, but hasn't yet. And it's not even it's not even a strong convergence if it were to even touch and those lines intersect. So there's not a lot really here on the 4 hour that's telling us much, but it is giving us the indication overall that we're underneath some key level resistances, which are concurrent with this descending trend, and we need to respect that. Let's go ahead and look at TD sequential on the 1 hour. I don't think we're going to see much here, but we can see, of course, previously we came down to a 9, even went a little bit further, and then it ramped up very, very hard. So again, we should null and void this area there, because that's really just a terrible, a terrible thing for technical analysis. It really throws things off when you have these crazy, crazy bursts of 10% or greater in a short amount of time. But regardless, that did happen, but profits are being taken. Big surprise, it's Friday, that's how it works. But another thing to recognize too is just because today we're having a red day on Friday, and traditionally we have green weekends following a red Friday, I wouldn't count on that this weekend. Okay, just thinking out loud here. Of course, I know everyone gets paid. Holiday weekend, people are going to be pretty excited, and we might actually see a slow increase. That could, in fact, be the catalyst that pushes the price action higher. But just know that happens come Tuesday when the market's open. We could very well see a red day to follow. Okay, so just be cautious. There's no guarantees we're going to see a green weekend, but it would make sense considering the overall circumstances and just generally how things normally work. But again, the last 2 or 3 weekends have been very, very contradictory, and in most cases that is not what happens, even though it's supposed to and should, right? Okay, so that's kind of where we're at there. Let's go ahead and wrap things up here with the cloud, and we can see that we got rejected by the cloud effectively, and that's kind of concurrent once again with this descending trend that we've seen. The conversion lines below the baseline, we're below the cloud, and of course lagging span is pretty much intersected with the price action. There's not much going on here. So really this is telling us that there's no reason to take a position, long or short. Really, that's the bottom line, because it's such a cluster F, right? That we cannot really effectively be able to disseminate where it's going to go next. Hypothetically, it should go up. The natural progression of something being pushed down this low for so long, it's inevitably going to recover. But again, we haven't fully hit this double bottom yet, and there's a great chance that we might continue to see the price action go lower. So to me, instead of risking that, I think until we get a decisive moment, a decisive bottom, then we should probably hang tight until then. You could argue that this was a decisive move, but it really wasn't. 1 hour manipulation of 10%, I really don't trust that. That doesn't factor in here, and we shouldn't expect that to be like the catalyst that we're looking for. All the whales get in, they start getting on board and start shooting the price action up, different story, but I don't think we've hit our bottom yet. That's just kind of what I'm feeling here. So that's kind of all we have here so far today. I know I kind of rambled on about a bunch of different stuff, but generally speaking, that's where we're at. Let's go ahead and take a quick peek at the markets. Traditional markets are down by a small 0.5% roughly, and the US dollar is up. So again, dollar's up, Bitcoin down. That's pretty much the case. So we can kind of expect that to be consistent moving forward, because it has been relatively consistent the last couple of weeks. So just something to pay attention to. Either way, thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you learned something, of course. If you want to become a better trader, once again, CryptoCache.tech is a site. Link in the description below. Thank you so much to all my supporters, and I have some really diehard followers. So thank you so much for all your wonderful feedback, being just an amazing part of my life, and obviously I'm happy to provide an impactful role in yours. Thanks again for listening and learning. I hope you can definitely continue to do so. Thanks again for your time. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next one. Have a wonderful weekend if we don't talk to you later. Bye-bye.